When you first start looking at the various driving assists in a racing game, it can be quite overwhelming, and turning them off can make you feel quite intimidated. But fear not, because today I'm going to run through every assist in Forza Horizon 6 and explain what they all do. Arguably the most noticeable assist when turned off, and undoubtedly the most argued about assist in the entirety of the racing game genre.
No offense, but you are a stupid asshole.
Traction control is scary to turn off initially, but it is often well worth the effort to get used to. In Forza Horizon 6, it's not like Forza Motorsport that had 3 options, being off, on and sport, which is slightly weaker traction control. Here you don't have to make that decision at all, it's just a case of whether you want it on or off. Traction control is the assist that will make you not spin out off the line or on the exit of corners. This can help you feel more confident and get on the power earlier, thus leading to faster speeds. It works by cutting the power when slipping is detected, but it can come at a cost. Those who are able to modulate the throttle well enough to not slide too much are able to go faster because they have full control of their power and won't have what feels like a weight dragging behind them out of corners.
I can break these cliffs.
When I talk about modulating, I mean gradually increasing the throttle until you are at full power. Inexperienced players will often treat the throttle and the brake as an on-off switch rather than a pedal. And that's what I want you to think of your controller triggers as, pedals with a full range of motion. This is also why it's important to turn your dead zones to 0 and 100 so that there is no wasted movement, therefore every movement of the trigger will have an impact. With dead zones at their standard setting, it's exactly as it sounds. You have movement that isn't registered, hence dead zones. Typically in Forza, in the proper hands, traction control being off is almost always faster. If you find a leaderboard and take a look at the top times, the legitimate times that is, you'll very rarely see traction control being used. These drivers tend to have very smooth driving styles, use all of the road and understand how weight of the car is being transferred, helping them to manually maintain traction. Traction control is most useful with high-powered rear-wheel drive cars, but also has a case for being used with front-wheel drive cars. In rear-wheel drive cars, you'll obviously spin out in a circle if you lose control of the rear wheels, but in a front-wheel drive car, loss of control will see you driving straighter than you'd ideally want to. The front wheels will have to handle the steering and the delivery of power, so if you overload them, they won't be able to handle either. Of all the assists, this is the biggest one to get to grips with, no pun intended, and it will reveal a poor driving style where you might be braking too hard, turning too hard, or being too heavy with the throttle. For that reason, many players just decide to keep it on, but once you get used to it, it opens you up to being a lot faster. I'd have to say that of all the assists, stability control is the most inconsequential assist in the game. I've been playing Forza since 2011 and I can't think of a single time I've felt that stability control was necessary.
I don't know why you would, but you could.
It could be argued that if it is needed, the problem is more with the driving than anything else. This is the contender with traction control for the most noticeable because everyone who has ever turned it off just to see what it does has found themselves braking and being unable to turn at all. I know this because back in Forza Motorsport 3, that was me. The important thing to realize with the brakes is that 100% braking input is not the ideal way to brake, and it will never help you in Forza. If you brake beyond 85% or so, you'll find yourself locking up, creating lines of rubber behind you. ABS is similar to traction control, except it turns the brakes on and off rapidly to avoid locking up. This naturally leads to longer braking distances, at least in Forza. The trick with turning ABS off is to walk the line between locking up and braking as hard as you can. Happily though, I have good news. It doesn't take that long to get used to it, and I have a little bit of a hack that can help you. If you grab your controller and hold the tip of your finger over the back of the controller, it will make it harder for you to brake all the way to 100%. Next, open up your telemetry and focus on the braking. Just sit still, press the brake trigger until you get to that 85% mark. Keep doing this over and over until you more or less know where that point is. Then start driving and do the same thing. Gradually it will become second nature to you. Admittedly, this is something I need to do as I've barely touched Forza in the last 5 years, and I've fallen back on the easy option of using ABS. If nothing else, learning to use ABS will help you to not brake unnecessarily hard and unsettle the car. Driving line is like traction control in that it is argued about a lot in discussions online, and perhaps even in the comments of this video too. There is a lot of chess piecing done by those in their ivory towers who are better than the rabble below them that use driving line in any form. To be clear, I don't care whatsoever if someone uses line or any other assist for that matter, and those who do care usually don't have the pace to back it up. In fact, it's often used as an excuse of, yeah, I'm slow, but it's because I won't lower myself to use the assist. When it comes to circuit racing games, where the cars are broadly similar to each other, you can learn the braking zones pretty easily, but in something like Horizon, where you're always driving something different in different conditions, it can be handy to have it on. I would just recommend not getting too reliant on it, because often people are completely lost when they turn it off. Steering has a few options, but for the purpose of this video we won't be focusing on any input assisted option. We will just be talking about the standard and simulation steering, the latter of which has developed a reputation that can strike fear into the hearts of even the most hardened of Forza veterans. Simulation steering was initially intended for wheel users, but it's usually been more used by faster controller players, as it allows for a slightly faster change of direction. The downside of this is the dreaded sim twitch, where even the slightest bit of counter steering can end up in a very embarrassing situation for you as you find yourself facing the wrong way against a wall. The best players know how to deal with this and hardly ever sim twitch, and honestly for most players standard steering will be more than good enough. I haven't used sim for a very long time, it's just not something I've got the time to put the effort into, and it probably won't make me much faster, especially in Horizon. I've covered how to use manual with clutch, but I haven't explained the benefits of moving from auto to manual and from manual to manual with clutch. Well, fear not, because today I will explain that, and maybe even a bit about how to know when to change gear. Going from auto to manual will be the biggest difference to your lap times. Going from manual to manual with clutch will also help, but the difference will be far smaller. So why does manual help? Well, it gives you much better use of the gears and helps you stay in the power band of the car for longer. Auto just changes gears at a rev range, which is often much lower than necessary, and it will also change down far too many times through corners, causing lost time due to unnecessary upshifts as you accelerate again. There are also some cars that might have a power band in the lower rev range, which auto will completely ignore. The best example I can find of this is the 2-litre turbo rally engine, which I have fitted to this WRX. If I bring up the telemetry and pay attention to the power, you'll notice it rapidly drops off before the end of the rev range. This means I have fallen out of the power band, and therefore I should change gears earlier. In fact, with this engine, you change gears so early that it seems pointless, but it actually isn't. The general rule that I use when changing gear is this: make the power before changing gear match the power you'll be when you enter the next gear. There are exceptions for this, but they are very rare. In fact, the only one I can think of is the Mercedes racing truck in Forza Motorsport 6. In that case, the torque drop-off was so severe that you had to change gear at a very low rev range, which is how it is in a real truck. However, auto isn't going to recognize this, and you'll be shifting way too high. If you're going to pick one assist to change, it would be shifting. The difference between auto and manual is night and day, and if you're ready to add the clutch, check my guide on how to do that. All in all, I would recommend changing one assist, getting used to it, and then moving on. Too much too quick and you'll get overwhelmed and not be having fun. And above all, play with the assists and the camera angle that you feel comfortable with, and don't let anyone else tell you what to do.